everybody. Welcome back to Memory Care with Teresa. We are on episode 5. It's amazing. And I'm just glad you're here. Hopefully, we'll share some ideas. And today, I just want to dedicate this podcast to a mentor of mine, and that would be Teepa Snow. I think without Teepa, the owner of Positive Approach to Care, I don't think that I would be here. And if we can bring up that slide, please. I don't think I would be here doing what I'm doing. And fortunately, she was an amazing occupational therapist that noticed too that we just weren't doing dementia right. And thankfully, she took that bull by the horns and she's created just an international, worldwide ministry, and does so many wonderful things, is teaching left and right and educating and creating more educators like me. So I am humbled to even know Teepa Snow. I'm just glad to be a part of her team. And it's what actually catapulted me into starting my own business, A Better Approach to Memory Care. So anyway, thanks everybody. Last week we talked about better communication with memory loss. It's huge because doesn't it come down to relationship with communication? So we're going to go back and we're going to review a little bit of that today, and we're going to pick up. But first, I want to just tell you a story. I got a couple stories in my pocket about communicating. And so back in the day when I was working for a private duty company, I remember a caregiver calling me and she said, "Oh boy, this lady's really mad." And I said, "What happened?" And she said, "Well, my car broke down, so I got dropped off." And she was usually on Tuesdays, we usually go to the market. And so I came in right away and was completely honest with her and told her that we couldn't go to the market today. And I said, "How'd that go?" And she said, "Oh, it has not gone well." She's furious. And she said, "I was hoping you could talk to her." And that happened a lot when I worked for that private duty company. I felt like I was putting out a lot of fires. I was trying to train as fast as I could, but sometimes there were too many of them and one of me. So anyway, got the lady on the phone, and I'll call her Mary. "Hey, Mary, it's Teresa." "Well," she said, "this is not a good day at all." She said, "How come I can't go to the market?" I said, "Oh boy, that sounds bad." "Yeah. Oh, can't go to the market today on Tuesday?" She's like, "That's right. That's right. That's what we're supposed to do." And I said, "Oh, goodness gracious." And I said, was Joey supposed to go too?" "Joey was supposed to go." I said, "Oh my goodness, that's the cutest dog in the whole world." I said, "What's Joey doing right now?" And she said, "Oh, Joey's here. Joey's always with me." And I said, "I know, he's the cutest thing. I love when I visit you that he lets me hold him. And he's so special. My gosh, he's been a part of your life for years." "Well," she said, "I love Joey." And I said, "I love him too." I said, "You know what?" And I mean, life is good, right? You got Joey. You have a beautiful place where you can look out and with that great view and everything. You know what? I just might need to stop over and get a little bit of that view. And she said, "Well, okay." And then I heard her say, "Why did we call her?" She had forgotten completely about the lady, not the caregiver, not being able to take her to the market. And I just had kind of led her down another path, right? With some joy. And you could hear a smile in my voice. And she was familiar with my voice. And I heard the caregiver say, "Because you're so mad because I can't take you to the market." She goes, "That's right. That's a bunch of crap. She can't take me to the market." And I just went, ah. So obviously, a lot more training has to happen because, guys, there are right and wrong ways to do this. And as you're learning, you're going to make mistakes for sure. But we don't have to lead them back down that path of angriness, do we? I mean, and I know some of you get upset with me when I don't tell the truth 100%. But here's the deal. Can they even discern the truth? And honestly, most of the time in their world, the logic is gone. They're working on their emotions and what in this moment right now, what's going on? Is it good? Is it bad? Where is it? Where are we headed? And they can enjoy so many great things. They can enjoy beauty. They can enjoy music. They can enjoy nature. They can enjoy a lot of things, but frequently we give them things that they don't have the capacity to figure out or understand. And then it creates this. And so I had a great conversation with the caregiver about, if she'd have come in and just said, "Hey, Mary, so great to see you. Hey, Joey, I brought you something." And we just started the day. I'm not sure that woman even would have the concept that today was the market day. Do you see what I'm saying? And so sometimes we create our own messes, right? And if we can learn to not do that, that would be great. And I know the gal felt like she was doing the right thing, but when we have brain failure, we just have to we have to figure out different ways. And each of these individuals is different though. And where they are in their disease and what kind of brain failure they have, it's different. Each of these individuals are different. And boy, we got to do personalized care. And we got to figure out what brings them joy, what they understand, what they can still do, not try and do to them, but how can we come alongside and join them on the journey and allow them to do as much as they can for as long as they can. Okay, just wanted to share a story with you about communication, maybe give you some ideas to get the wheels turning on maybe something you've done or maybe something you can do better. Okay, let's pull up slide 11 and we'll start there with a little bit of review. Last week we talked a lot about the approach, and as you remember, we lose peripheral vision. Eventually goes to a binocular, to a monocular, and then, boy, depth perception is a huge challenge. So we always approach from the front. We covered that in part 1. That would be episode 4. If you didn't see it, it'd be worthwhile to go back and get that information and then come back and watch this one. But we always approach from the front. We don't touch without permission. Notify your face you're happy to be there. Take a breath before you even come in. Let your problems leave you outside. And then come in and make sure that your body language and your tone is all saying you're happy to be there. Okay? All right, so we move past that into how do we have a better conversation? And we talked about pacing. Keep in mind that it's good to, I guess, have an idea where they are in their journey, but it's also where they are today in this moment. And so when you come in and you greet them and then you wait and you wait for them to give you permission to come in and touch them, and then you're going to give them a compliment, try and get a smile on their face first thing. If they're not ready for that, maybe we just take a seat and maybe we wait. And it may get to the point, or you may have a day where they just need you to sit with them. So they just need you to sit and be quiet. Hard for me, I know, because I love to talk, but I've done that. And sometimes then, I had a woman who she was in bed. She wasn't ready to talk. And finally she looked down and she traced her arm down, and my hand was on her hand. And then she traced my arm up to me and then saw the smile on my face. And then she smiled. It was just very interesting to watch the process. And I wasn't trying to do anything to stimulate her too fast or ask her to do anything she wasn't ready for. And so be sure and use pacing. Be sure and notice how many words they're using when they communicate with you. If they're only using 3 words in a sentence, then I would say let's make sure we adapt that too and go with their flow as to what's going on right now in this moment. So match your pace to them and be ready to pause. Reflection. Instead of correcting them, we talked about repeating the word back to them. Somebody stole my purse. Oh, so someone stole your purse. And you want to make sure that your tone and body language says, wow, that shouldn't happen. Instead of, oh yeah, someone stole your purse again. Okay, they see through you, you're done. You're going to get kicked out of the blankety blank house like I did. All right. So, and I didn't do that to my mom, but I'm just telling you, I didn't understand where she was that day. And a button was pushed and I was out of there. So, so we don't correct. You can repeat their words back to them and see if they clarify it, or maybe you can get more information. We don't want to shut them down though. We don't want to, yeah, whatever. Yeah, someone stole your purse again. Here, let's go get lunch. Doesn't work. We really need to validate their position. Maybe you need to do something about whatever's bothering them right now. Maybe it's, well, we better talk to the charge nurse about that. Or, you know what, I'm going to have a family meeting and we're going to find out where this purse is going. Do some things to engage them so that they can feel you understand what's going on. You're as upset about it as they are. And then you can usually de-escalate the energy on that and then be able to redirect it physically or emotionally to a different place or a different activity. Oh, I've been meaning to tell you, I've got some more music from that guy that you love. Let's listen to this and see if we can then take them somewhere else. So again, that's reflection. Validation, we've talked about it several times. So important. If you walk in and they've got a good mad going on, whether you had anything to do with it or not, hopefully you didn't, but you just might be the person who's walking in right now and has to deal with it. We can take a moment like that where they're quite angry, and we can let it go for 2 to 4 hours, but I just don't recommend it. I would much rather we validate their position with, well, that shouldn't have happened. Mama, that shouldn't have happened. My goodness, you must be exhausted. Wow, your purse is missing? Oh no, we're not going to put up with that. I'm going to talk to the charge nurse and we're not going to let that happen, Mama. I'm on your team. We're together. We're partners on this. Let's go for a walk and find the right person to talk to. And we start lifting up the emotion and the spirit. And fortunately, I'm headed to take her down to the activity because I know they're painting today and that she would engage and she'd love that. So we got to validate it. Otherwise, they're not going to be ready to redirect or go somewhere else with it. Keep in mind, validate helps you de-escalate, and then we can redirect. We talked about avoiding those yes, no questions. Do you want to get a shower? Are you going to eat today? Because what becomes the common answer that most of them resort to? That's right. No, no, no. And I'm not sure they even understand the words that you're using at this point. They may only be catching 1 in 4, 1 in 5 words. Have you ever read a paragraph using every fourth word? It's difficult. It's difficult to understand. And so we see this though. And sometimes we're rambling on and we're asking yes, no questions. And you might even ask if they want a dessert tonight and they may still say no. And so avoid those yes, no questions. Let's think about the either ors. Did you want the grilled cheese or did you want that hamburger today? Go to the either or. Did you want something to drink or did you want lemonade or something else? And see if you can engage them that way. Because listen, who feels like they're in control? When I say to you, are we going to Chipotle or Chick-fil-A? Who feels like they're in control? Well, you do. Right. And how beautiful is that to let you still have control over something? I don't care where we go, right? I'd much rather I could come in and say, we're going here. Or I could say, do you want to go to Chipotle? But later in the disease, when you're not processing the words, you're probably just going to tell me no. And then I'll have caregivers say, refuse, they refuse, they'll even document refused. And that's when we have to have a talk because I don't put up with refused. I put up with, we engage them, we do either or something else, or we swing back. We go and get them their cup of coffee and we swing back and we offer again for them the either or, offer that to them and let them have the ability to choose. My mom did get to the point where she couldn't choose between either or. And then I would just have to say, Mama, I picked out the blue dress today because I love how this makes your eyes look so pretty. And she would like that and she would be fine with that. At that point, she was more compliant. She didn't really have the energy to fight a whole lot at that point. But boy, anytime I could generate a smile was a win in my book. All right. So we worked a lot on doing that, avoiding things that upset her and try and stay in that area things that brought her joy. So, let's see. I was going to tell you another story. Oh, I'll tell you another story. There was a woman. I had a daughter call, and she said, "Oh, Mom's hallucinating again. I said, "Oh, really?" And she said, "Yeah." And I said, "Tell me what's going on?" And she said, "Well, she saw a camel." She said, "I told her to stop that because there's no camels around here." And I said, "How did that go?" And she said, "Oh, it was terrible." She threw an absolute fit saying she saw a camel, and by golly, if I wasn't going to, agree with her, then I shouldn't even be there. And I said, "Okay." So we have to be careful, guys, when you and I both know the camel wasn't there. But there comes a time when we can still go back to validate. So how would we validate that? Think about how your mom says, "Did you see the camel? I saw a camel outside." And with every fiber inside her, she believes that she saw the camel. And so sometimes we need to accept and agree even when they're wrong. What's that? Even when they're wrong, I have to accept and agree. But even when they blame me for something, I'm going to say, yeah, yeah. Because you know what? I'd rather take 60 seconds and put something to bed rather than spend 2 or 4 hours with them fighting with me about something. Okay. Now, if they are hallucinating, okay, we have that with certain types of dementia. But our job isn't to correct them and tell them it wasn't there. Our job is to validate. So how can you validate I saw a camel? Think about that. Okay, so maybe you say, "Oh, I wish I would have seen the camel. Mama, you got to tell me when you see that camel again. I want to see it." Yeah, that would be so amazing. Oh, 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 you know what I'm thinking? Um, I'm going to get your socks and shoes because it's almost time to go see the grandbaby, something she wants to do. And I'm going to redirect her energy that direction. But there's no reason to correct her and tell her there's no camels around here. Why don't you get yourself straight in your head? Yikes! Those are condescending, fighting words. No, we have to live in the land of supportive, encouraging, um, in these areas would encourage them to keep communicating, encourage them in our relationship, right? It's all about the relationship, to love them along in this brain failure, this disease that has brain failure. So if they see something and you don't see it, I want you to validate it. I want you to do something to fix it. If they're talking about the spiders in this room, then by golly, go get a broom and clean up the spiders and say, "Mama, I'm so glad you told me." Just affirm it. "I'm so glad you told me. I don't like spiders either, and I'm not going to put up with spiders in our house. Oh, you know what? Could you help me? Could you help me? I have got to peel potatoes. You're so good at that." And you know what? If she's good at peeling potatoes, I'm going to be buying potatoes by the 10 or by the 10-pound bags. Okay. Because if that brings her purpose and joy, then I'm going to, yeah, allow her to do that. Okay, so don't overreact to stuff. Don't overreact to the camel. Don't overreact to the spiders. No reason. No reason. We're going to go with the flow. We talked a little bit about try this when you're trying to substitute, like if they get something dangerous in their hand, a hammer, a screwdriver, something, and maybe you can trade them for a snack or I don't know, something else that they love, and trade them out for that, something else for them to look at. You might try this. Okay. And when you're not sure what they're talking about, some of these brain failures, if the disease has really landed in their language and cognition, you know what? They may not be able to put words together in a sentence at all anymore. But what's interesting is those folks tend to talk a lot, and some folks might call it a word salad. The words are coming out with all kinds of energy and expression and emotion. And so what do we do then? We have no idea what they're saying. Well, in my world, frequently what I see is that you can feel whether it was positive or whether it was negative, whether it was frightening or whether it was good. And so I'm going to go with that flow. And if they're saying, it was blah, 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 you, and then I'm like, "Oh, well, that doesn't sound like a good thing. I'm glad I wasn't there. Wow, I'm glad you're here with me now," and maybe we encourage them, we swing it back to something positive. But if they're going da 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 and then da 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 and da, and you're like, "Oh my goodness, that sounds fabulous. What a great day. What a great day, Mama. You deserve great days." And so, you could try tell me about it, but if they have full-blown word salad where they really are taking words and they're putting them together, but there's no rhyme or reason to the order, so it's very difficult to understand what they're trying to tell us, then I want you to just respond with a smile or with whatever expression is in line with what they're trying to say. Okay? I don't I think that is quite doable. I've had to use it several times myself. So, best options when situations change. Something I also want to bring up to you is that what if the person you're caring for could be your family member, could be a loved one, could be maybe you're a caregiver. What if you're hearing racial slurs and things like that? Let me ask you something. Can you, this person's 85 years old, and for some reason they're back in time at a time in their life where maybe they had some prejudices. Now, in the midst of their brain failure, is this the right time to correct them and finger wag them down? And A, do you think they'll remember that? B, do you think it'll change their mind? C, is it worthwhile at all? And so I know when I worked as a nurse director for the private duty company, it happened occasionally. It was rare, but occasionally. And sometimes we had to do things to accommodate that person because there was no way to fix it. There was no way to talk them out of it. And every time, maybe someone showed up that wasn't what they were expecting, it just got everybody in trouble. And the poor gal, was already being judged, and she was fabulous. And so that is one time when, if you start hearing things like that, please take it into account that A, we can't fix it. I mean, I wish we could. In a perfect world, right? We would pull some strings and make that better, or we'd correct them. If you're raising a child and they make mistakes, you correct them. But if it's a senior with brain failure, I'm not sure. You're probably wasting your breath and just engaging them in fighting words and damaging the relationship. So that is a tough, tough, tough subject. But I just want to go there and let you know that I've been through that several times. And what I know is that I couldn't fix it. I couldn't fix it at all. But I had to figure out how to accommodate that person. All right. So when you're not sure what they're talking about, let's use tell me about it. Sorry, went the wrong way. Remember what the goal is. The goal is really to be respectful, non-agitating, especially when the unexpected happens. They're going to catch you off guard, and they're going to say something, do something, see something, and you're going to be caught off guard. Okay. And so, but with practice, you are going to get really good at going with their flow, at accepting and agreeing. Stop asking too many questions. Tell them great stories. Tell them great stories. Okay. There are lots of great stories about your puppy or your kitten or your kids, the grandkids, something wonderful that they did. Or go back in time and remind your mom of something she did that made you, something you are today, or maybe something she did for you. I always bring up that story, the way she used to braid my hair. I love that. And I can't do it myself. And so I miss that, something that I missed. And, but it was a journey. It was part of her journey, but I could go back and tell her how much I loved when you would brush my hair and then you would braid my hair, Mama. That made me smile. That made me so happy. So let's go back. Possible situation to prepare for. So why do they accuse us of things, or they overreact? All right, they're living in the moment. They may not have capacity to use any logic as to why something happened. Again, what are you going to do? Accept and agree? Yes. Ask lots of questions? No. Tell them great stories? Yes. Validate their position even if they're wrong? Yes. Good, good, good. How about say you're sorry? Yes. Say you're sorry, even if they're wrong. And then one thing we haven't talked a lot about is we got to get over it and get on with it. Because sometimes we're going to run into each other, or I'm going to say the wrong thing, she's going to say the wrong thing, he's going to say the wrong thing. I might have come in too fast. I might have been tired myself. I might have been, not on my best game and they weren't on their best game. And yikes, things happen, names are called, and hopefully we apologize and back out. But then here's the thing, when I come back in, it's not time for me to say, what you did before was wrong. I'm just here trying to help. All right. You know what? If you need a vent partner to go, cry and share the stuff with, by golly, do it. This is hard. This is hard. And the emotional roller coaster is so hard. You love this person. They used to love you. It was different. And they still love you. But guess what? Their brain is broken. And so sometimes they don't have the capacity to respond the way we think they should. So be able to come back in. So it's called get over it and get on with it. Okay? Get over it and get on with it. And I know that you can do that. If they start using bad words, again, I call it the emergency words. When my language and cognition is damaged, left side brain for most individuals, then I sometimes go to those emergency words, and boy, they can be colorful. They can be colorful. But what I learned is that if you get startled and it's late at night and you're leaving the grocery store and you get in your car and you're putting your seatbelt on and all of a sudden the door opens and hands are coming in, what are you going to do? Huh? No, really, what are you going to do? Are you going to kick and scream and try and save your life? Absolutely. Do you think you might say any colorful words? Some of you will. Some of you won't. Some of you will. Most of you will. Because guess what? It's just how it's a reaction. And so I want to be a grace giver when we start using the bad words. Usually they're using a word because they can't find the right word. That's usually what's going on. And the word may be colorful. But I want you to give them some grace and just see it as, oh. Be a detective, not a judge. I should be noticing that they're not thinking right now, but they're upset about something. Be a detective. Can I figure out what's going on? Because for me, when we use those emergency words, usually pain, fear, or anxiety. Yeah, that's what I see. Pain, fear, or anxiety. And it isn't the time to just go run and grab a medication and slap them with a medication, because normally we pick the wrong medicine. We frequently attribute that to a psych diagnosis, a symptom of a psych problem, and then we get an antipsychotic. And I'm telling you that if they have ingrown toenails, it's bothering them, but they don't have the words to tell you that, and you slap them with an antipsychotic. Have we solved anything? No. Have we made it easier for them to walk, talk, or function? I'm voting no. Will they keep them quiet for a little bit till you finish your shift? Well, probably, maybe. Sometimes they have poor reactions to all that. But I want to be part of their team. I want to join them on the journey. I want to be a detective and see if I can really figure out what's going on. I want to do kind of a head to toe assessment with, wow, that's not right. You're upset. Geez. Yeah, something's wrong. I am so sorry. Yeah. Let me see your elbows. Are you okay? Wow. And I'm coming in with concern, not with, you better settle down and not use that language with me. Points off. So anyway, I know this is hard, and I know that it's a lot of work learning these things, but I do know that you guys can be taught, and you can do better, okay? Fear, pain, anxiety, I told you about that. And just be a detective, right? Okay, we're going to accept and agree. Last review. Let's never correct and apologize even when you're wrong, just in review. And how about you match your distress with theirs? That's a good way to validate their position, is to match your distress with theirs. If they're extremely happy, then you be extremely happy. If they are laughing about something, then laugh with them. We never laugh at them, okay? But we certainly can laugh later. They do some funny things, and I know that later you might have to, debrief and let some things out. Maybe there were some funny things, but you know what? These folks deserve, people that are living with dementia, they deserve all of our respect and all of our care. And we would want them to do that for us if the table was turned. All right. So we'll redirect them to a happy place. You'll get really good at that. You're just going to practice. And if they're not ready to do that, we sit quietly and quit asking them, quit leading them to a place where they have no capacity. So don't try and fix it all. We can't fix it. All right. But you can say, I'm so sorry. It's so hard. Maybe that should be, if you're struggling and you've got someone very difficult, maybe that's what's going to become part of your routine and a strategy that could work for you. I'm so sorry. This is so hard. Because it is. It's miserable. Okay. Your loved one like a child. This is a great line. I got this out of a great book. Your loved one like a child will find their self-worth in the look they see on your face. So I want to challenge you that when you go to visit, when you come in to help, or maybe they live with you and it's when you get up in the morning that you're putting a smile on your face, even if last night was pretty tough. I want to make sure that you approach them from the front and you've already let it all go for right now. We can't fix it all. Give it up. Nobody has all the right answers. Nobody's got all the right techniques, but they deserve for us to hang in the game. And so I would make sure that I always came in like I did with my children in the morning, even if the teenager and I had had a struggle the night before. In the morning, she knew that I would be happy to see her always. Okay. Good morning. Good morning. Good morning, Mama. So great to see you. It's me, Teresa. And I would start telling her at some point, I had to start telling her who I was. Okay. All right. There's a picture of my mama. So just so you know, she's the reason I do what I do. And I tell you, she loved that battery operated kitty cat and fed the cat a lot of the time. And the cat would meow. That would scare my dad to death. So he would put that on mute. But it could wipe its face and lean back and act like it was licking its paw and everything. That was a lot of fun. That was something that worked. I got her a baby once to hold, and I was completely wrong. She said, "Dear God, not another one," because she had had 8 kids, right? There were a bunch of us. She always had kids around. Then there were grandkids around, so it never seemed to give her a break on watching babies and taking care of babies. But anyway, the message is to give yourself and your loved one grace daily. And that's the truth. This is hard. This is hard. And you're going to have to practice and you're going to make mistakes and you're going to need help. Okay. So come up with a plan on how you're going to bring help in. There are great strategies and I can help you with that too. Again, I'm Teresa Youngstrom and this is Memory Care with Teresa. I hope you'll like, share, subscribe so we can exchange some more information. You can share this with your friends. We can get the word out about giving better care for people living with dementia. All right. Don't forget, you got this.